Imagine your stock being up nearly 20% and then it gives it all back pretty much in just the 1 hour. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions, and today we're talking about HIMS. It's just one of the stocks that we're going to be talking about today. But before we even get into this, the one thing that I want to share with you is that right now, Fed member, this is from the Federal Reserve, Fed member Bostic says that he is in no hurry to adjust the Fed's policy rate. Bostic also sees a possible path to one interest rate cut in 2025. Remember, there's an expectation for 2 to maybe 3. And he is very cautious about cutting rates too soon. So it's not just Jerome Powell, or as Trump likes to call him, too late Jerome Powell. The long Fed pause is going to get even longer. And again, this was shared earlier this morning. But you wouldn't think that that was actually the news that was shared based off of how the market is trading. Higher highs, higher lows, incredibly bullish, and it looks unstoppable, right? NASDAQ market is approaching pretty much almost 52-week highs, right back up to 530 per share. But literally, if you look at everything, I mean, there's some good news. According to this most recent report, says Brazil's president Lula says he's ready to negotiate a new trade deal with the United States. But that's the only update that we've actually gotten from any country. But Brazil has never been our main concern, at least not in my opinion. We still have yet to hear what is going on with China, and as well as I'm sure many of you guys have been keeping up to date with what is going on in the tensions between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, had a very vicious attack to Russia. And supposedly, because now of how evil, according to Trump, Putin has been in their attacks to Ukraine, now, to my understanding, it's not that we're supporting Ukraine, but that now we are offering them more weapons. I think that's something that I read over the weekend, where, again, we're walking on a very thin line when it comes down to, is the U.S. involved in supporting Ukraine in their attacks to Russia? And that's kind of like the part that would be concerning about this. If Russia or Putin is unstable and they see it that way, then what's stopping Russia from attacking the U.S. as they feel like, we're being allies with one of their enemies, right? Something to take into consideration. The other thing that I also want to make sure that you are aware is, now going back to HIMS very quickly, HIMS rocketed almost 20% on the Zava news. It was an acquisition. 70 minutes later, so an hour and 10 minutes, after the market opens, we are flat. Meanwhile, shorts are doubling down. So again, if you pay attention to HIMS, fortunately, one of the members within my LPP team actually brought this one to my attention. I originally was shorting TEM. I took a $3,500 loss yesterday shorting TEM. So I wasn't eager to short it, but I saw there to be pullback potential. You might be asking why. Well, it gapped up a lot yesterday, right? And that's essentially what I was trying to short. So I saw there to be gap down potential if we actually broke that support. I made a little bit of money. I closed out my overall trade. I left myself with my one lucky share. I made $1,700. So a part of it back. And I wasn't trying to revenge trade, especially when I saw the opportunity presenting itself with HIMS. HIMS gapped up based off of that news. As you guys can see, HIMS and HERS Health to acquire a health platform, Zava, in cash deal. It pushed up, hit highs of $67. Everyone knows HIMS is incredibly overvalued. Everyone knows it's all hype. Everyone knows that this thing pumps up and then comes crashing right back down. Everyone should know that, right? It's understanding overbought and oversold levels. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that you can't make money going long on HIMS. You can make money going long on any bullshit company, right? But eventually, the BS is going to run out, right? The hype is going to fade and reality will sink in. And as you can see, HIMS, historically speaking, tends to find a resistance right around $60 to $70 per share. So it's not a good deal, to put it in very simple terms, at $60 to $70 per share. So when I saw that it was incredibly overbought within a short period of time, I saw it to be as a great short opportunity. I actually waited for confirmation and waited for this thing to actively start selling off. I did not expect it to sell off this aggressive because, again, it went from highs of 67, imagine that, to now lows of 57, losing 15% of its value. Originally, it happened in about 70 minutes. So it lost 17% of its value as it hit lows of 55, 54. And big picture, HIMS is still incredibly overbought. There's huge retracement potential, but again, As long as they continue to share news that can hype up the stock, it could stay relevant. Just think about it like the whole GameStop movement. Anytime Roaring Kitties sent a tweet, it wasn't that anything changed fundamentally about the company. It was just that, again, it became more relevant, more trendy, and it brought more attention to what it is that's going on. I see the same thing happening with Hims. Hims is not, I don't want to compare it to GameStop, but it's running off of that same theme. It's a meme stock to some degree. It's hyped up, incredibly overhyped up. And in my opinion, due for a pullback. I do not plan to carry this short for much longer. I did short it as it approached pre-market support. And then after that, I've been pretty much waiting for these lower highs to form. Every time that it rips up, I open up short and then I cover at previous support. It rips up, I open up short and I cover at previous support. I actually went long on it and then I took profits and then now entered short again. So again, nothing crazy on this new short. I'm only up about $1,100, but as you can see, just about $100,000 shorting Hims as of right now. And roughly based off of my average position size, I've made 10% today shorting Hims based off of my position size. And to me, 10%, that's an incredible win. I don't trade options. Hims is an incredibly risky stock. I would not recommend it for beginners. I don't care if you're going long. I don't care if you're going short. I think you need to learn how to walk before you run. And Hims is just incredibly risky, right? Just like TEM. If you're just getting into the market, I would say slower moving stocks are probably best to start off with. You're not going to make as much money, but you also won't lose as much. And again, it's all about learning how to walk before you run. I know it's not as exciting, but remember, you're here to learn. The making money part should come later once you have a better understanding of how to make money, but also how to manage risk. And there it goes. We just hit $11,000 on the day. And then, of course, the $1,700 that I made on TEM. Other than that, the thing that I also wanted to make sure that you guys were aware is there's some news circling around about Meta. People were sharing on X.com. I don't know if I'm the only one that gets it, but they're like, oh, all these companies are adopting Bitcoin. All these countries are adopting Bitcoin. They said that Meta was going to adopt Bitcoin, but Meta shareholders voted to reject the Bitcoin treasury asset. A whopping 95% of all shareholders voted against the proposal. That's insane. The Bitcoin maxes are convincing absolutely nobody to buy their Ponzi. And again, this is talking about how every crypto and Bitcoin bro is literally posting that everyone's adopting it, everyone's adopting it. Like, why, if it's so valuable, do you have to convince people to buy into an asset, right? Like the whole thing with like NVIDIA. I love NVIDIA myself. Jensen, who is an amazing CEO and founder of NVIDIA, he doesn't have to convince people to buy into NVIDIA, right? It's just they have results, the business and the results speak for themselves, so people buy into it. That's all, right? They invest in it because they see the value, they see the potential. Why is it not the same for Bitcoin? Why is it that, no, you need to buy it, you need to take out a mortgage on your house and buy Bitcoin. You're not buying enough Bitcoin. And again, it's screaming overbought, it's screaming Ponzi loop. And again, as long as market conditions are bullish, I do believe that Bitcoin has the environment to hold at these levels. But as soon as markets begin to fall over, we all know that no one cares about Bitcoin. No one actually uses Bitcoin. And at that point, Bitcoin will begin to fall apart, just like it always does. I mean, you even have Donald Trump Jr. giving a rant on CNBC on why the Trump family is going all in on Bitcoin. But pretty much what he's saying is that no banks will allow him to borrow money. So all he can resort to is buying Bitcoin. So yes, again, if you have no other option, then yeah, maybe Bitcoin might be the actual only option. So I can see why he's so eager to convince other people to invest into Bitcoin. But again, when you actually listen to what it is that's being said, it's not that he thinks Bitcoin's a great investment. It's just that he has no other alternative. So again, read between the lines. The part that really excites me about Meta and their rejection of Bitcoin is that Meta doesn't have to cheapen their own company to invest in a trendy asset, right? You have companies like MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is a company that loses $500 million every single year because the business is absolute BS, where they are always trying to present new forms of gimmicks on how you can invest into their Bitcoin treasury so they can borrow against your shares and continue to buy Bitcoin. Again, it's just it's insane how these things are able to exist, where he can just create leveraged ETFs or leveraged stocks that he's able to borrow against because all these people are so blindly investing into what he's selling them. And that's a company, if you look at MicroStrategy, a company that loses, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. It's a company that loses hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Their PE ratio is negative 20.3 times their earnings. Net income of a company, negative $5.3 billion. It's like absolutely insane how a company like this exists. But nonetheless, again, to each their own. If that's the way that you want to be invested, be my guest, right? It's important to understand the difference between a trade and an investment. And that's what I hope that you understand. There's nothing wrong with being invested in Bitcoin if you got Bitcoin at a good price. Buying at $105,000 per coin for what? To hopefully sell it at maybe 115, 120. But what if it goes down to 70, 50? What's the risk to reward there? It just doesn't make sense, right? The potential for profit does not outweigh the potential for loss. And that's what I'm trying to lay out here is understand when something is being told to you that it's a good investment versus you actually understanding it to be a good investment. So I know a lot of people say it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. I do believe that when it comes down to assets that you can actually invest in over a long period of time that are not incredibly hyped up. But if you're okay with paying a premium because you want to jump into the hype, then just understand the risk that that comes with, right? During a downturn, then you're opened and exposed to larger retracements. So if you're okay with that, be my guest. If you think that you can be a little bit more patient, there's nothing wrong with sitting on a little bit of cash when markets do begin to retrace. Hey, maybe you can buy some Bitcoin at 70, 80,000 per Bitcoin or whatever it is that you justify it as. Just do it in a calculated way that makes sense to you, not just because someone on Twitter told you. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. Hope that earned a thumbs up. I hope to see you for our live trading session. If you ever want to tune on in, again, I go live every single morning right at market open, and it's the second link in the description down below. You can join for as little as $1.35 a day. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.